sharp, jarring noise suddenly woke him up. Daniel jolted awake.
Who is coming inside?
And what he found in those dusty records pulled the ground right out from under him and started smashing into the wall with everything he had. Dark, sinister laugh bled through the speaker to drag him right back to the tomb. The rain was beating relentlessly against the old wooden door. Daniel, a 38-year-old man, set his coffee mug down on the table and just looked around the living room of his new place. It was miles away from the noise of the city, and he honestly loved the dead silence of this creepy, isolated house. The place was falling apart, paint peeling off the walls like dead skin, but to him, it was peaceful. While he was cleaning out a pitch-black corner of the basement, he stumbled across something weird. It was a heavy, jet-black, antique rotary dial phone. It was completely caked in dust, but the craziest part was the wire. The cord coming out of the back had been snipped right at the base. It looked like someone had just taken a pair of heavy scissors to it. It wasn't connected to anything. Daniel just figured it was a cool antique, so he dusted it off, set it on his bedroom nightstand, and went to sleep. Daniel was completely knocked out when a sharp, jarring noise suddenly woke him up. Daniel jolted awake. The room was pitch black. The sound was right next to him. He shot a panicked look at his nightstand. That disconnected black phone was ringing. Daniel's brain just stopped working. He fumbled for the lamp and flicked it on. With his hands literally shaking, he picked up the receiver and pressed it to his ear. The line was dead silent, but it was this heavy, suffocating silence that just filled the room with dread. Daniel's voice caught in his throat. He barely managed to croak out.
Hello? Is anyone there?
There was a faint burst of static on the other end, followed by the terrified, sobbing voice of a little boy.
I'm scared. He's coming inside. I can hear his footsteps.
Before Daniel could even process what he was hearing, the line went dead.
I hear you. Who is this? No, that's impossible. What?
Daniel was absolutely paralyzed. He stayed awake the entire night, just staring at the wall. The next morning, exhausted and completely freaked out, he marched that phone right back down into the darkest corner of the basement and threw an old rag over it. The next night, at exactly 3:15 a.m., the ringing started again. Daniel jumped out of bed, his heart hammering in his chest. The sound was echoing all the way up from the basement. He grabbed a heavy wooden club just to be safe, threw on his thick black winter jacket to fight off the freezing cold, and slowly crept down the basement stairs. In the damp, heavy air of the cellar, the phone was just ringing endlessly. Daniel yanked the rag off and snatched up the receiver. The second he put it to his ear, the exact same little boy spoke through the static. But this time, he sounded absolutely hysterical.
Father, he's starting to break the door.
Daniel's fear suddenly morphed into protective anger.
Where are you? Tell me the location!
The kid cried out.
I'm locked in a dark room. There are old newspapers thrown all over the floor. And right in front of me, there's a broken wooden rocking horse.
Daniel froze. The receiver nearly slipped right out of his hand. Just yesterday, when he was cleaning out the far back corner of the basement, he had seen that exact same broken wooden horse. Daniel yelled into the phone.
Who is coming inside?
A man. He's wearing a black jacket, and he's holding a thick wooden club in his hand.
The line went dead. Daniel slowly looked down at himself. In his right hand, a heavy wooden club. On his body, a black winter jacket. He stumbled backward until he hit the cold concrete wall. Driven by pure panic, he tore the basement apart, looking for anyone. But he was completely alone. At the crack of dawn, he rushed over to the city's record office. After practically begging the desk clerk, he finally got permission to dig through the property's old files. And what he found in those dusty records pulled the ground right out from under him. 20 years ago, a little boy named Ali was held hostage in that very house. The kidnapper had gotten spooked by the cops and bolted, leaving the kid sealed inside a hidden room to slowly die of starvation and dehydration. According to the gruesome police report, the boy's skeletal remains were found clutching a severed telephone wire. He had been begging for help right up until his last breath. Sick to his stomach, Daniel rushed back to the house, packed his things, and decided he was leaving this cursed place immediately. It was 8 p.m. Daniel was frantically shoving clothes into his duffel bag when, suddenly, the power cut out. The house plunged into pitch black darkness. It was so quiet he could hear his own heartbeat thudding in his ears. And then, the ringing echoed from the living room. Somehow, that severed black phone had moved from the basement all the way up to the coffee table in the center of his living room. The cut wire was just resting on the floor like a dead snake. A weird, hypnotic paralysis washed over Daniel. He couldn't run even if he tried. Moving like a zombie, he reached out and picked up the receiver.
I cannot help you, Ali.
Daniel screamed, his voice breaking. Ali answered, but he wasn't crying anymore. His voice held the chilling emptiness of the grave.
I don't want to die alone. I'm behind the wall, right behind where you put your bag.
Daniel shined his phone's flashlight at the wall. The plaster there was bulging outward just a little bit. Terror had completely hijacked his sanity at this point. In a state of absolute madness, Daniel grabbed a heavy hammer and started smashing into the wall with everything he had. Plaster shattered, bricks crumbled, and behind it all, a hollow, pitch-black tomb was revealed. The flashlight beam cut through the dark. The room was exactly as described. 1990s newspapers scattered on the floor, a broken wooden rocking horse sitting in the corner, and right in the dead center of the room, the dust-covered skeleton of a little boy. Daniel backed away in pure horror, but the phone receiver was still glued to his ear. That's when a terrifying shift happened on the line. Ali's innocent tone warped, suddenly morphing into the deep, grim voice of a grown man. And it wasn't a stranger's voice. It was Daniel's. From inside the earpiece, Daniel's own voice echoed back at him.
He broke the wall. He has a hammer in his hand.
Daniel violently tore at his own hair and screamed.
Who are you? Why is this my voice?
A dark, sinister laugh bled through the speaker. The voice replied,
When the human brain can't handle the crushing weight of its own sins, it simply deletes the memories. You didn't just buy this place as a new owner, Daniel. You came back.
The moment those words hit him, buried memories flashed through Daniel's mind like a corrupted home video. 20 years ago, an 18-year-old teenager, blinded by greed for ransom money, the kidnapping of a child, and then panicking about getting caught, sealing that kid alive behind this very wall. That 18-year-old wasn't some unknown criminal. It was Daniel himself. The severe psychological trauma had completely wiped his memory clean, only for fate to drag him right back to the tomb he built with his own hands. Daniel collapsed to his knees. The receiver slipped right out of his trembling fingers. From the earpiece resting on the floor, the voice shifted one last time, sounding entirely demonic now.
It's your turn now, brother. The dark is really scary.
Behind Daniel, the heavy front door slammed shut with a massive bang. The iron security shutters on the windows dropped completely on their own. Every single exit in the house was permanently sealed. In the suffocating darkness, Daniel's isolated screams echoed off the walls, completely swallowed up by the relentless, never-ending dial tone blaring from that severed phone on the floor.